theory, your law would allow, under the auspices of a religious freedom, right, a small business, the owners say are very religious, they don't believe in gay marriage, or they don't believe in gay couples, right? So they then do not have to serve a gay couple because of their religion, right? That is what your law would allow, among other things, correct?
Well, no, I disagree, and I'd like to go back and say that I feel like a majority of Americans are on my side on this issue. This bill does not give an individual the right to discriminate. This gives an individual the right to hold their strongly held religious beliefs and a right to the First Amendment and the freedom of speech.
So what I don't understand is, okay, so I understand you're saying this is to express their religious beliefs, but you are saying at the expense of someone else's freedom. So if my religious beliefs say I don't serve someone who's gay, or I don't serve someone who's black, who's marrying someone who's white, I can deny service to those people.
Again, you know, I disagree. This bill is not about discrimination. This bill is about the First Amendment and a person's individual right to believe. And your rights stop where someone else's rights start. I mean, that's the basis of what America is. I do feel like, you know, we continued, and you've used it, the right to a baker not to perform his services at a homosexual wedding. I think if he holds that as a sincerely held religious belief, he has that right. I do not feel like he has the right to not service a homosexual couple by providing them a cake. It's about the message that's on that cake. It's about freedom of speech.
So you're saying he would have to bake the cake, but he wouldn't have to put congratulations on the top of it or something?
Well, that would be my opinion of the bill. That's absolutely right. And I would think I would give the same right to a Jewish baker to not have to put a swastika on a bill. I mean, this is about freedom of speech, not about discrimination.
All right, so you would have to serve the couple, you just wouldn't have to endorse what they're doing. It's where you're drawing the line. So we just had a guest on. I don't know if you heard her. She was talking about how her grandfather, who was white, wouldn't allow her to come into his house when she was younger because her parents were mixed race. And that was due to his religion. Now, she said over time he changed. But what I'm getting at is, you know, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, people would use religion to say blacks couldn't marry whites. Now that's unacceptable in this country. That's what's happening with gay marriage. 60% of Americans now support it. Aren't you worried about being on the side of intolerance?
I'm not on the side of intolerance at all. You know, and I can't speak for someone's personal family beliefs with the example that you gave me. But the reality is, I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in the right to hold religious beliefs. I believe in the right to freedom of speech. That's what this bill talks about. It does nothing to promote or discourage sexual orientation in any way.
Except for you don't have to sign you don't have to actually put a note on top of the cake. The distinction that you drew before.
Yeah, you nailed it. Freedom of speech. That's right.
So some major companies are coming out against this, as you're well aware, Senator. Walmart is one of them. That is the largest private employer in the United States, certainly the largest company in Arkansas. It's the largest retailer on earth. Based in Arkansas, in Bentonville, they have come out against this bill. Today, the CEO, just moments ago, actually put out a statement. I wanted to read it to you. It says, today's passage of HB 1228 threatens to undermine the spirit of inclusion present throughout the state of Arkansas and does not reflect the values we proudly uphold. For these reasons, we are asking Governor Hutchinson to veto the legislation. How much does that concern you, that Walmart is going to come out against what you're saying?
Yeah, you know, Walmart's in my district. I have a tremendous amount of respect for CEO Mr. McMillan. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Walmart. I think they're missing the point, just like so many are. If Mr. McMillan had the time in his day to actually read this bill himself, he would understand this is about First Amendment, freedom of speech, and he would agree with me.
But just to make it clear, where do you draw the line? So when you said you would allow someone to, you have to bake the cake, but you don't have to put congratulations if it's a gay couple. So if my religion says I don't believe in blacks and whites getting married, I would have to bake them a cake, but I could also say I don't put congratulations on that because I don't believe in mixed race marriages?
Well, again, you know, I can't speak for anyone else's strongly held religious beliefs, and that's why we have a court system. Well, I think it would allow them a defense, but I certainly do not believe in discrimination in any way, and I wouldn't support it.